like to talk to you today about is the two-strike approach. And I'd like your thoughts about two-strike approach. Any thoughts about two-strike approach? What are your thoughts when you have two strikes on you? Do you do anything differently? Have you thought about it? Do you have a plan? I'll tell you what my feelings are, and I'll tell you what the New York Yankees do, and we'll discuss the pros and cons and what works for you. So let me share some. I want to hear some things from you as to what you guys do with two strikes. Any thoughts? Certainly have some thoughts. All of you in this room have had two strikes, and all of you have had a strikeout or two, and I would venture to say that all of you took a third strike. So if that's the case, then there's something good to talk about. Lonnie. Nice and loud.
More aggressive at the plate.
Short, compact, and be more aggressive at the plate. Okay. Any other thoughts? Not bad. Do you do anything differently with two strikes?
Make your strike zone a little bit bigger.
Make your strike zone a little bit bigger. Expand the zone. How about you, Brandon? Look fastball and adjust off speed. Some people do that. Anyone else have something to add? Let me ask you a question. First pitch. Do you swing? How many of you like the first pitch of the first at bat and you're ready to rip and let it go? I see some of you, about half of you, maybe a little bit more. For those of you that don't like to do that, why not?
Gives you a chance to study the pitcher more and get used to it.
Gives you a chance to study the pitcher more and get used to it. Makes a lot of sense to me. How about some of you that didn't raise your hand? Why would you not swing at the first pitch strike? It's a good song. Anybody else? So, do you have any feelings about first pitch? Should you or shouldn't you? That's the question. Is there a right answer? Well, let me just share some things with you. As a pitcher, what is the pitcher trying to do?
Get ahead.
Get ahead. So he's trying to get that first pitch for a strike, correct? Typically, pitchers have best command over what pitch? Fastball. So you could be telling yourself, hey, he's trying to get ahead, I'm probably going to get a fastball. Makes some sense. For those of you that swing at first pitch, is that your rationale behind swinging at the first pitch, Matt? Makes some sense. I'll just share with you some of my thoughts. If I offer at that first pitch and it happens to be a strike, maybe not a fastball, maybe it was a cutter, maybe it was a changeup, maybe it was what it was. It is what it is. But I offer at it and I swing and I hit it. I don't hit it with square contact. My timing was off just a little bit, and consequently, I'm out at first, or if I'm fortunate enough, I get a base hit because it found a hole. What has that done for my next at bat? For me personally, I don't have too much information to work off of. So I am in the corner with Brett. I prefer to take that first pitch. You might say, well, I've done my homework. I watched him in the bullpen. I watched him warm up. I watched him on deck. If you're not the leadoff batter in the game. So I've done all my homework. I wanted to swing the first pitch. For me, getting on the on-deck circle and getting in the batter's box and actually seeing the pitch that close is different than being on the on-deck. For some, you may be able to get your tips and you may be able to work it out on deck. But for me personally, I have to be in the batter's box to see what type of action, what type of life the fastball has, or whatever pitch he's throwing. If he happens to throw me a curveball, I now know, okay, this is the way the ball breaks. So if it happens to be a strike, I have to be ready. If it's a ball, I can still be very, very selective. Okay, so that's kind of my views on things. So let's talk a little bit about our two-strike approach. I can tell you this, the New York Yankees don't do anything different other than they bear down. They bear down with two strikes. They're very high in the league in least strikeouts, so they're doing something right, and they also hit with power. And they hit very good situations, so they're doing something right. They don't overemphasize the two strikes. But an interesting question is raised in the two-strike approach. How did you get to two strikes? Now that's an interesting question. How did you get to two strikes? Why is that so important? Because if I have two strikes, maybe I offered at a pitch that I shouldn't have done, that I shouldn't have swung at. Well, then I have to make the adjustment. Maybe the umpire made a bad call. I need to know that, so that I have to make an adjustment if the umpire is a low ball strike umpire, or a high ball, or whatever he is. So how you get to two strikes is pretty important, because that allows you to make the necessary adjustments before you get two strikes. Thought that was an interesting point of view. We talked about the up, in, and deep approach, not only with two strikes, but basically your normal approach. What that means is this: I'm looking the ball up. I'm looking the ball in, and I'm letting the ball travel deep. If I can do those things, I can adjust to all other pitches. If I look up, I can handle down. If I look in, I can handle out. If I look deep, I can handle the off-speed stuff. If I look away and the pitch is in, I'm in trouble. If I look down and the pitch is up, I'm in trouble. If I want to catch it out front and they throw me an off-speed pitch, I run out of bat. So as a general approach, it's not a bad approach to take. Up, in, and deep. But we're talking about two strikes. Oppo. Derek Jeter. He looks to go the other way. What happens if you look to hit the ball the opposite way, but you look to hit it hard? What must you do? Why is that such a good thing, particularly with two strikes? Jason? Swing a little later, so why is that good? You can see the ball longer. You have more time to see the ball. The more time you see the ball, the better off you'll be. We also talked about kind of being close to the plate. The closer your eyes to the ball, the easier it is to see the ball. That just makes that's just common sense. So, hitting the ball the opposite way forces you to let the ball travel and not commit so early. And if you want to hit the ball out front all the time, you've got to get started back here earlier. If you get started back here earlier, you're susceptible to the off-speed pitch away. Aggressive, number 4. Anything close. I think, was it Brett that made the comment? Or someone made the comment. You expand, Tyler? Who made? Okay. You expand your zone. Right? With two strikes? Absolutely. With no strikes, I'm going to my strength. It better be thrown in this area right there, and if it is, I'm hitting it. Otherwise, I'm letting it go. With one strike, that area gets a little bit bigger. With two strikes, it even gets bigger because I do not let the umpire take the bat away from me. I'm not going to give him an opportunity to make a bad call and to ring me up. So I'm going to be aggressive. Very, very important. Expand the strike zone, both up and down, in and out. Bear down. Bear down. Do you do anything differently? No. Just bear down. And the most important thing here, I think, is to stay true. And again, I have be who you are. I think that's so important, be who you are, because if you're off a little bit in terms of timing or rhythm, it will affect if you're early or late on the pitch. And it's the little things that can really mess you up. It could mean the difference between seeing the spin on the ball, or seeing the shape of a curveball coming in, or arm angles, or having that ability to see the pitcher doing something differently that you can pick up on. If you're not in tune with that, and if you're not being who you are, you'll miss all those little things that will tip the pitch. Very, very important. So it really comes down to rhythm and timing. if you're going to focus on anything, focus on your timing. Focus on timing. Something that nobody ever talks about is, what are you doing when the pitcher's getting ready to wind up? What subtle movements do you have to stay in rhythm with the pitcher? How do you and the pitcher become one? Those are things you've got to work on. You can't be a robot, a statue, and then see the ball and react. You've got to have a little bit of rhythm. What are you doing as the pitcher's going into his delivery, whether it's from the stretch or the windup? Pitchers will not quick pitch you, generally speaking. They'll be very deliberate and do the same things over and over and over again. Unless you've got an exceptional athlete that likes to compete and he's got good command of mechanics, consequently good mechanics of command and control, then he may mess with your timing by quick pitching you. But otherwise, you probably won't see it. Very rarely do you see it. It's really happened at the very highest level. So if that's the case, then you as a hitter, it should be relatively easy to be in tune with the pitcher. So what are you doing to be in rhythm with the pitcher to create great timing for you? That's something that you need to start focusing on. Seeing the ball better and staying within the rhythm and timing of the pitcher. What are you doing as he's getting ready to deliver the pitch? And most importantly, are you consistent with your approach or whatever you decide to do, and are you doing it exactly the same way every time? Because if you're not, chances are you're going to be off just a little bit. That being off just a little bit might mean the difference between hitting a gap, home run, or fouling one off or completely missing the ball. We're talking millimeters here. We're talking inches, less than an inch. Square ball to bat, square contact. Sweet spot of bat to sweet spot of ball produces sweet music. That can only happen if you're totally calm, relaxed, alert, and you're who you are. If you try to be somebody that you're not, you're probably going to speed something up, you're going to slow something down, you're going to muscle up, and we all know that tension is the enemy of quickness, of speed. So those are just some things as we move forward. We've had several sessions now. What I'd like to do is do a quick circuit of self-toss, both with the right hand and the lead arm, the top hand, and all I want to do is work ground balls and line drives. I want to do that with the top, lead, and then with both. And so we're all going to do that, master that skill, and you'll find hitting will be much easier for you because you can't do a lot of things wrong if you do it correctly and you're hitting your intended target. So we'll do the self-toss, ground balls, line drives. We'll do it with one arm, each arm, and then two arms. And then we'll go live and we'll focus on pitch selection, breathing, and getting in tune with the pitcher. Any questions? All right, let's get after it. Get your bats and we'll see you out there.